Alright guys, welcome back to another video. So here we have a Mercedes. I'm not exactly sure what year it is, but pretty relatively new. I think it might be like a 2015, 16, somewhere around there. But you can see these are a lot of chips just from road debris, a lot of chips, a lot of little scratches. You got some oxidation starting right up here. I can actually feel the difference. And you get a lot of micro cracking over here on this side. That's pretty typical with Mercedes. They always have a lot of micro cracking on them. Like right over here on this side, this won't be able to come out. So that's why it's super important to make sure that you inspect it and explain to the customer first that you'll be able to kind of take a layer off and get it looking much better, but the micro cracks you will not be able to remove. That is a very, very important detail. Make sure you do your inspections, because anytime that you're coming out here, when a customer's calling you for headlight restoration, they're under the assumption that you're going to be able to make it look perfect. And unfortunately, you can't win every single battle with these headlights. Sometimes you're going to have micro cracks. Sometimes you're going to have some really big stress cracks and chips like that you won't be able to remove. So you want to make sure that you set that expectation. That way there's no issue when you're finished with it. So this one we're going to do a 320 on the drier side. We're not going to really use too much water when first starting. Because whenever you first start, I want to like really dig into that clear coat really bad. I want to just break into it. If I can just break into it, after that it's much smoother. Everything goes a lot faster. So start with a 320 dry, and then we'll finish with 400, 600. These Mercedes are pretty nice because there's always big gaps. One thing I've noticed about the Mercedes is that there's always gaps in between like the body panels and the headlights, so it's pretty easy to mask off. You want to always try to get as thorough as you can when it comes to masking things off, especially on vehicles with black paint, because you scratch something, it's very visible. So if you are getting into this business, you want to try to have a detailer or something on hand in case you ever do scratch any paint, because accidents do happen. Doesn't matter what business you're in. Try to prevent it all you want, but at some point, you know, something's gonna give. Which again, you know, it happens. It's all what matters is how you react to it. If you mess up a bumper, you need to be responsible and just be like, hey, I messed this up. You know, I'll take care of it, whatever. But yeah, this is the first one of the day. It's 7:42. Monday morning. I got 7 today, but so we're gonna knock this one out. Got my 320 here. I'm just gonna start on it raw. So some of you might be wondering, why is he dry sanding? He usually wet sands. Well, for this particular case, there's a lot of intact clear coat left on this, and when you are putting water on the clear coat, it tends to slide more. So for the first initial layer, I'm gonna just kind of do it dry. I want to break into that old clear coat. A little bit easier. See how messy it is when you're dry sanding. Just get that stuff all over the place. So you can see we've broken into the intact clear coat, so here on the top it's good to go. So we just gotta kind of finish up on the bottom. Still on 320. Trying to sand this way, that way the sun's not in the lens, so you guys can see. I really hope it's a nice day. It feels like a nice day. It feels like maybe 70 degrees right now. It feels absolutely amazing. So I'm hoping it stays like that. For me, the ideal day is 70 degrees with some clouds, because the sun can get pretty brutal. Alright, so that's good. We're going to move on to the 400 on this side. Get rid of all the scratches we made with the 320. There's a lot of people saying that the Europeans are typically harder. I can agree to some extent. Some people are intimidated by doing European vehicles, but as long as you know what you're doing, it shouldn't take you that long to get these done. Just tricks of the trade. I'm excited to be getting some new bottles here soon, because these just have too many miles on them. I've been using these same bottles for quite some time now. Alright, on to 600. So now we're going to get the lens to the perfect texture for the clear coat. Removed all the little scratches and dings from the road debris, so these should come out really, really good. Alright, so we're good to go there. And if you're not using automotive tape, it's always good to gently take this tape off. If you're using this method where you're wet sanding, it's typically pretty easy, just because the sandpaper is just like, or the tape kind of gets really, really soft. Much better. Alright, we're going to remove some of the excess water and throw it over. Blower out. Just gonna dry it over really quick. I'll get some of this stuff off here. So you want to try it. Treat it kind of like doing dishes. You want to kind of clean it as you go. You don't have this massive mess at the end. As I said, whenever you're doing this, you don't want to have to mess around with it after you sprayed it. So let's say, for example, you did the restoration, you applied the clear coat, and there's a big mess. You don't want to go in there and start cleaning stuff and then accidentally touch the lens, which I've done before. So you want to clean everything That way, after you spray it, when you remove the masking paper, that's all you have left is just, and then you're good to go. Nice and clean, nice and milky. It's exactly where we want to be. Tight corner, so may not be able to get it in between there, but we'll be able to mask it off pretty good. There we go. So a few things to consider. So right now the wind, well, where's the wind? There's the wind. You got to be careful whenever doing them one at a time, because let's say that I sprayed the clear coat on this one and it's good to go, and then I start doing the other side and the wind picks up and a bunch of water or something sprays on it or kind of moves over here. So that's one thing you've got to take into consideration when spraying these. Making pretty good time. Okay, so the wind is going this way, so I want to hold off on spraying until this other side's good, because I know that when I start sanding or spraying over here, it's going to carry all that over there, and then I don't want to ruin my work. So again, speaking from experience, something you won't learn until you mess it up. So hopefully you guys can take that into consideration, save you a headache. Always keep your wind directions in mind. So this side, same thing. Do a 320 for a bit. This side feels a little bit more beat up than that side, so should be a little faster. So you can see I'm spraying that way it doesn't get on the other lens. So the lens is good to go, it's ready to spray, and that's how I want to keep it. I don't want to have to clean it again. This one's working with me much better than the other one. It's funny because a lot of people give me so much crap about wet sanding. I had a guy in the comment section the other day. I didn't even respond to him. I just kind of let people vent on there. I'm assuming they're angry at something and they're commenting to get out their hate or their rage. Again, whenever you're dry sanding, your material is not going to be stretched as far because, so I'm standing right here, right? If I were to not be spraying the water and removing the debris from in between the sandpaper and the headlight, you're not getting 100% contact between the raw sandpaper and the headlight. That's why you saw me get new sandpaper, because it was just getting caked up on the sandpaper. That's why when you're using power tools and dry sanding, that's why you have to switch your pads up so much, because it constantly gets caked up. And then at some point you're just rubbing the lens, you're not making any contact between the actual sandpaper and the headlight because there's so much debris in between. So in the event that you are doing that, if you're dry sanding, you can get like a piece of Velcro or something and just rub it on here, and just make sure that you're removing, this is when you're dry sanding, make sure you're removing the caked up headlight that you sanded off from your sandpaper. Otherwise you're going to be going through a lot of material. Think of it like washing dishes. If you have a sponge and you are washing your dishes, but you have a lot of food caked up on the sponge, you're not gonna be able to wash the other dishes because there's so much gunk caked up in between. So what do? You wash the sponge. Again, people will still disagree with me, but again, that's just my opinion. That's all my opinions are based on my experiences. You know, it might be different for somebody else. Some people just flat out don't want to put any logic to it, which is fine. I'm not gonna hate on somebody over how they restore a headlight. It's more so just tips to kind of teach you, help you out a little bit if you need it. If you have a method that is working for you, by all means keep it. Stick to that method. It's getting you good results. You're happy with it. It's efficient. Stick to it. So I'm on 400 now. Alright, so all the scratches are removed from the 3. Gonna move on to 6. Some of you might be saying, oh no, the tape is gone and he's sanding right there. I have my thumb, like I always put my finger halfway on it, so it's like right in the middle, so it never gets close to that. Like, I'm so confident with my method of sanding that I could do this without tape and I wouldn't get any scratches on the bumper or the fender or anything. Again, years of doing this, it's all experience. Yay, we've been working out for 10 minutes. I remember I had somebody comment asking me, not asking me, really just telling me I don't need to be spraying that much water, you're dousing it, you're doing too much. It's like people act like water is acid to a car. It's funny. It's always the people who've never done this method that like to criticize, you know? As if I haven't been doing this for the last 5 years of my life. Good thing about it is that we are at 100 and I think we just hit 145 5-star reviews. So I'm really itching for that 200 mark. That's the thing about reviews, it's so funny because we do so many jobs and we'll send out the review request and people just don't do it. It's like they have like a stigma against leaving reviews. It's like we could very easily get to 200, but again, people just kind of have that thing about leaving reviews. I guess maybe because if you like look at their name, you could see like what the reviews that they left, all the businesses they visited, so that can be a little, I can understand that a little bit, but still. Alright, so there's no wind. Go ahead and spray this one and then move on over there. So there's a lot of flash off on that one. So this is actually a pretty good example. You can see there's a lot of flash off on it. It's still a little bit gray or a little kind of foggy. When I spray this other one, it's going to clear up a lot faster because the sun is hitting it directly. It's getting warm out though, even though it's a nice day, it's cool out. Like I'm still like in direct sunlight. The second worst thing about doing a darker vehicle is because you can see all the dust and all that. I can only imagine how bad it would be if I was dry sanding. It would just be everywhere. Ooh, that's nice. Alright, so we are good to go. So, I forgot to mention we're using the Next Gen Headlight Solutions Headlight Restoration Clear Coat. You can skip the polishing process if you're curious on what I'm using. I leave all the information in the description, but somehow people still ask me what is it that I'm spraying on it. Alright, so the wind just picked up. We're going to wait a second. Take a little coffee break. It's 7 or 8:10. This side's looking good. Again, it's in the shadow, so it's going to take a little bit longer to dry up, but alright, so you can see the flash off a little bit on that side right here. You just got to give it time. So anytime, it doesn't matter what clear coat you're applying. If you were applying clear coat, so the chemical process of applying a clear coat, the clear coat has hardening properties in it. That's what makes it to where once it's cured, you can touch it and you don't leave a big scratch or anything like that. So that's the hardening properties. Obviously you spray it when it's wet, then it gets hard. There's your protection. So when you're applying a clear coat, there's hardening properties in the clear coat. It's like a chemical reaction. It starts to activate. It activates being exposed to air, and obviously the UV rays can activate it some more. So anytime you're applying clear coat, there's a process called the flash off process. Now, I had somebody ask, where'd you come up with that name? I didn't come up with it. That's like body shop terminology, the flash off effect. That's when the solvents in the clear coat are starting to evaporate, the hardening properties are starting to activate, and so on and so forth. So it doesn't matter if it's this clear coat or another type of clear coat you're using, it's all the same as far as the flash off effect. So you have to give it time to clear off. So you can see that flash off is right here, is now gone. Just got to give it a little bit of time and it'll be good to go. This thing needs a good detail. Just making sure that there's no... Alright, and that's it. Side's looking good. You can see there's some hologram effects right here. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but there's micro cracking over here, so the light is entering that and then refracting and giving kind of a hologram effect. So that's why you can see it with some direct sunlight, but when I get into the shade, it's gone. This side looks perfect, even though I know there's micro cracks over here. So if this were to be in the sunlight, you could see it, but other than that, much better. Thanks for watching, guys.